Yo, in this video, I'm going to be talking about if Gojo truly has infinite curse energy, and also going to be addressing some comments that I had from my last video because I said I would. The video was called 7 Ways to Bypass Gojo's Infinity. It's a video where I go over some possible ways to deal with infinity. If you haven't checked it out, it would be highly recommended. It's a really good video. The comments on the video were more positive than negative, so I really appreciate you guys for the positive feedback. Also, I want to announce that I will be trying to do more videos like this. By that, I mean longer videos instead of shorts, so I would appreciate if you guys could join me and support me along this journey. That being said, if you guys have any ideas or topics you would like me to discuss or talk about, feel free to comment them down below. And thanks again, I really appreciate it. All right, let's get into this. I've seen about 2 comments or 2 things that frequently came up that people had a problem with. One was apparently they believe that it's impossible to tank Hollow Purple. 2, Gojo can never run out of curse energy due to his 6 eyes. I'm gonna be going over both of these, but I'm gonna be going more in depth with the Gojo not being able to run out of curse energy. First, people not being able to tank Hollow Purple. This is just simply wrong, mainly due to the fact that it's actually shown in the actual material of the verse that this is actually possible to do. Before you continue, it's going to be spoilers ahead of chapter 223 of the Jujutsu Kaisen Manga. Not only that it was actually tanked before, it was not a normal version of the ability. It was fired at 200% than its normal potency. And all Sukuna lost was 1 hand, that which he was able to regenerate. Just imagine somebody who's infinitely stronger than Sukuna. They're just going to deflect it. Obviously, you have to be shown to be able to deflect like atomic level attacks. This is just like a feat for Sukuna that he's able to just tank atomic level attacks, but at the end of the day, Sukuna's not the only person in fiction who can tank atomic level attacks. Also, being able to tank atomic level attacks doesn't necessarily mean that you have to tank it with just your physicals. You could also summon barriers. Some people have abilities where they could just summon a barrier and it deflects energy. Deflecting atomic level attacks is, I wouldn't say common, but people have done it in fiction. Mostly like the DC Marvel verses and stuff like that. Basically what I'm saying, it's not impossible. If you have the right character, you should be able to just make this argument. There's also characters who could conceptually erase things. They could just literally just erase the ability. Also, if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It lets me know that you guys like this type of content. I will do more in the future. Thank you. All right, Gojo running out of curse energy. This one was probably the one most people disagreed with in the comments, which I thought was gonna happen. So let's talk about it. The only thing that I seen when I was rereading JJK was this statement, which I could only assume that a lot of people think Gojo has infinite curse energy because of. But Gojo has the 6 eyes, so energy that's lost when he activates a curse technique is infinitesimally close to 0. Then he basically says that he can't run out of curse energy because of that. If we ignore all the context of everything, this gives Gojo basically infinite curse energy, because him being able to use close to 0 curse energy for all of his abilities on top of him passively generating his own curse energy, then essentially this would give him infinite curse energy, because basically he would be losing none. Now, when we add context to this current version of Yuta who's saying this never seen Gojo be pushed to a point beyond his limits. This statement's also most likely referring to the Gojo using his abilities at minimal power, because again, Yuta has never seen Gojo pushed very far. This is shown when he's watching the Sukuna fight. Yuta is extremely calm at first, thinking that Gojo had this in the bag. But as soon as the fight started and as soon as Sukuna started making Gojo bleed, Yuta started to have like a panic attack and started to question if he truly knew Gojo's limits. With this, I'm not saying that this statement is not true, but we have to look at this with common sense. We have someone who's saying this about Gojo without knowing the limits of Gojo. With context, this statement would most likely only apply to Gojo's abilities operating at base level, unless you want to claim that Gojo's incapable of using his abilities with higher amounts of curse energy to make them more powerful, which he can. He has shown to be able to do this. It's also in character for him to strengthen his abilities to fight stronger opponents if needed. We saw him do this with Jogo and Hanami with his Infinity, and Sukuna with Purple when he used it at 200%. The point I'm trying to make is that Gojo is able and capable of using more curse energy to activate or use his abilities against stronger opponents at will. His abilities are not set at the same amount every time. It fluctuates depending on the person he's fighting. The perfect example is when Gojo fought Sukuna. Sukuna was the only person in the entire JJK verse who was able to push Gojo to his limits, to think on his feet and try new things to grow in the fight. In the end, there are characters in fiction who are stronger than Sukuna and can push Gojo to use more than his standard amount of curse energy. To that, he would be using more curse energy at a much faster rate, even if it takes days, weeks, months, and even years to lose all his curse energy. It doesn't matter, it's still possible.
Catch my train to escape the point of